everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to episode 2 of my Oxbridge Application Series. Before I start, I actually want to give just a little disclaimer. I'm actually currently in a hotel, so that's why you can see like a kitchen behind me. But yeah, I just thought that I would be filming today here. And if you don't know me or haven't seen me on YouTube previously, my name is Bianca. I am an international student currently based in the UK, and I make YouTube videos about my experience here, vlogs, and in like sit down videos talking about tips and advice. So if you are into that kind of content, feel free to subscribe and also look at my other videos. Recently I have been accepted to study my master's at Cambridge, which is gonna start in October, and so I really want to put together a playlist that people can refer to that really talks about the end-to-end process about applying to Oxbridge or any kind of university in the UK mainly, because that's sort of where my experience is. And in today's video, we're gonna be talking about the things that you should consider or things that you should ask yourself or do before you even apply to Oxbridge or any kind of universities overseas especially. So number one, and I always tell people this, is to start early. There's this Chinese proverb that say like the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is like now. I feel like planning ahead is really important when it comes to university, whether it's for your bachelor's degree or your master's. Planning ahead is probably like one of the things that would set you up to success. And by planning ahead, I mean start researching about what it really takes to get into those universities, and also start preparing the things that you need to apply. Now, number 2 is this question of why you want to study at Oxbridge, or again, any kind of universities. Why that university in specific? What I found is that we tend to look at universities, especially top universities, just from the sort of information fed to us from the media of like this picture that's been painted about those top universities, be it Oxford, Cambridge, or even Harvard, Stanford, whatever top universities that you have heard. I remember back in like my younger days, but like when I was little, I think the first time I ever knew about like Harvard or Cambridge was from those like book cover. Like in Indonesia, they sell these like notebooks that uses like the emblems of like top universities, and that's like my first ever encounter of such university. And I don't even know like why they're prestigious or why they're so well known. It's just ingrained in me that they're great universities, but I don't really know why. So start thinking about why Oxbridge, why those universities. Thinking about this will actually help you also research about the university, because when you do start researching, you'll start realizing that actually I don't really have that much information about these universities apart from what I've heard from people or what the media sort of portrays it to be. And so yeah, it will help when you do ask yourself that question, and it'll also help you in terms of writing your personal statement, because in one way or another you have to sort of mention why. Also, the reason why you need to think about this is because everyone wants to get into Oxbridge, and the cold harsh truth is everyone wants to get into Oxbridge. Okay, maybe everyone is an exaggeration, but a lot of people wants to get into Oxbridge. And to give you a number, for my course, MPhil in Development Studies, there are about like 1,000 people who applied for the masters this year, and only 160 people got the offer. So that is like 16% of the population. So you do really have to be very specific to also differentiate yourself from the other candidates. So you may want to think about what makes you different, your personality, your experience, and if you think that you don't have it, you actually do. I feel like everyone has their own story and their own like sort of path, and really think, like start reflecting on your experience. What made you feel inclined to apply to Oxbridge? What is like that aha moment or like that trigger moment that made you think like I really want to study there? So for me, it's a combination of different things, predominantly from my experiences being involved in Indonesian communities. And for me, it really does take a lot of reflection, and it's not just like a question that you ask yourself now and you'd be like, oh yeah, I know the answer. Like it takes a lot of time, a lot of like re-questioning yourself and reflection, and that's why start now. Start early. Okay, the third thing that I want you to ask yourself is also whether you actually have the requirements that they need. So the information on what the requirements they need from you are actually readily available on their website, and you can easily access them. The easiest way to do it is just to list down what they need. For instance, GMAT or GRE, so the minimum score that you need to have to apply, IELTS or TOEFL, which is like the English proof of English proficiency, personal statement, letter of references, and everything else. And after you list them down, also think about how you can achieve them. So make a plan on how you can actually get there given the timeline that you have. Again, that's why I always say start early, because then you can start preparing for all these tests that you take early. And if you think that, oh, maybe my score at uni, if you're applying for master's, or my score at school if you're applying for undergrad, is still like below what they're asking for, then you do still have time to actually increase and improve your scores. Another thing that I want to say is that when it comes to top universities, acing the basics, so making sure you meet the minimum requirements, is already a must. Imagine, like I said before, the acceptance rate is very low. You don't want to be that candidate where like, oh, you have like all this amazing story about yourself, you have like all these experiences, but then you just fail to meet the requirement. So really just make sure that you have a strong foundation. These are what they ask, complete them, and then add more things on top of that to like make sure that you have a strong application and strong profile. Okay, the next thing I want to say, based on my experience, is to worry about the finances later. I know that going to Oxford or Cambridge or any top universities is very expensive. I'm experiencing the same thing at the moment, but had I thought too much about my finances when I was applying, I would probably end up not applying. So you know what? At this point, the only thing that you can do is to just apply and make sure that you get in. That's like the maximum that you can do. And also applying for scholarships, and that's, again, like in my case, I have applied, I have got in, and now I am still fighting for my funding and scholarship. But that just goes to say that you just really have to get in first. And you know, when you start thinking about applying, you can't really control the outcome of your scholarship application or the outcome of your own application. So don't worry about the finances, especially now if you're still preparing. Next thing is probably more of a tip rather than something that you need to ask yourself, is to get involved in university or in high school, and try to also expand your involvement. So for instance, back in high school, I was really involved in, well, not really involved, I was involved in the student council, and that's not just a body that is that exists in the school. And if you can, and especially nowadays, there's so many opportunities outside of school, outside of university, tap into those opportunities. It's a part of building your own profile as well, because like I said, you can't just be the bare minimum. There has to be something different. There has to be something like a coherent story, and not just like, hey, academically I'm like acing everything, but then you don't have a personality, and then you don't have a story. So the story and the personality can only come from experiences. So do go out there, be open, and take on opportunities. And especially, you're still young, you still have time and energy, and of course, if possible, get involved in something that you actually care about and you're like really passionate for, and so that way it can actually show through in your application. And if possible, make sure that your involvement or the other things that you do outside of your school or uni has a tangible sort of impact or result. So for instance, I do talk about my YouTube channel in my application. I do talk about like some papers that I've written outside of uni, so it's not like academic paper, and so that way it's easier for them to pinpoint and actually see like, oh, this person has done this, and this is the actual result. Okay, last but not least, I have said this a lot of times before, and I'm gonna say it again: read. And not just like reading any kind of books, not just reading any kind of articles. Read things that are related to the topic of your interest or area of your interest. Books, journals, well, yeah, articles can do, or like microblogs or blogs, or just like publications from people relevant to your field. The reason why this is very important is I felt like when I started reading a lot in uni, I realized that there's actually a lot of areas that I'm really interested in, but back in high school I had not been exposed to those areas, so I don't know that they actually exist. For instance, politics or psychology. And so I think just knowing that there's abundant of other knowledge and abundant of other areas outside of what you currently know through reading can actually help you not only decide which course, which major you want to take, but also again help you in writing your personal statement. Because when it comes to writing, especially Cambridge and Oxford personal statement, I've also seen this in like other people's personal statement videos, they need to be very academic. And by academic, they mean actually citing journals, articles, and people, scholars, professors, etc. And you know where that comes from? Reading. So yeah, that will really help you decide whether you actually want to study that area, and it will also give you the materials that you need to write your personal statement, and a strong personal statement. So it's not just you like telling like, oh yeah, I like this and I like that, but you can actually show like, yeah, I've done my reading and this is why, and these are the readings. And also one book that I always recommend in most of my videos and in my social media channels is this book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. It's just a general book on like how to cultivate a growth mindset versus, if you know, most of us currently have fixed mindset, then how you can change that to a growth mindset. And you probably don't notice that you probably do have a fixed mindset. You would think that, oh, I have a growth mindset, I do think that I can learn and achieve things, but when you actually read it, you realize it. And I think this is the book that also really helped me shift my perspective and really think that no, actually, cross all those self-limiting beliefs, I can do this, and these are the plans that I'm gonna take to get me to where I want to be. So yeah, that's a really powerful book, at least for me. And if you are, especially if you're still in high school, I do recommend that book to you as well. That is it for the things that you need to consider, things that you need to know, things that you need to ask yourself before you apply. And I hope that you get something out of this video. I hope it's helpful, and stay tuned for more episodes in the Oxbridge Application Series. See you next time. Bye.